Let's find out if Calvin Klein succeeded in creating a noteworthy blue style fragrance with Defy. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So you already know, hit the subscribe button down below and also make sure to follow me on my Instagram page. But today we are reviewing one of Calvin Klein's newer collection of fragrances, which is of course Defy. Now I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I never get excited about Calvin Klein fragrances. For some reason in my head, I just think of them as like the designer rack store fragrance. But who knows, that might just be me, and maybe Defy will change my perspective on the brand of Calvin Klein. But yes, this is their take on the blue style genre, which of course all other designers like Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, Giorgio Armani, etc. has their own blue lineup. And this is finally their introduction into that category. So let's go over some information now. Defy was launched back in 2021 and they have been cranking out the flankers like every single year. I believe last year they came out with Defy EDP. This year they came out with Defy Parfum. And probably next year they'll come out with a Defy Elixir. That would not surprise me. Now, for retail price, if you actually go to like a department store, it is going to run you 50 mils for $70, or you get a 100 mil like I have in hand for $88. But these do show up at rack stores, so if you're looking for this particular fragrance, definitely check out like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, etc., because that's where I found mine at. The concentration is of course an eau de toilette, and there are three noses behind Defy. The first is Anne Philpot, Lac Dong, and Pascal Goran, which honestly I'm not that familiar with any of those perfumers, at least that I know of. So we'll see of course how they did with this release. With all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you're going to get with Defy now. Alright, so we're going to be taking a look at the bottle because unfortunately I do not have the box since mine came in a gift set along with another miniature 30 ml of Defy. But take a look at the bottle. I mean, the bottle is somewhat appealing. There's nothing really to complain about. Of course, the EDT at least comes in the clear glass, Calvin Klein Defy in that blue. On the bottom, you do have either etched in, or I think that's actually etched into the glass. Of course, your batch code and some information. Nothing on the back. And then on top of the cap, you do have Calvin Klein embossed. This cap is, I believe, plastic. Nothing inside of the cap, nothing on the atomizer. And guys, take a look at that atomizer. That's got to be the most stubby atomizer I have ever seen on a bottle in my life. But the cap does click into place very securely so you can't pick it up. In the top, you have bergamot and lavender. In the mid, you have vetiver. And in the base, you have amber. And this will be classified as a fresh citrus. So let's spray this stubby atomizer and see how it sprays. All right, so that did take a moment to spray because I have been using my miniature 30 ml. And I believe that was the first time I sprayed the full-size bottle. So let's go ahead and remind myself of this opening. So right away, this of course opens up just as a blue style fragrance should. It's a very shower jelly, very crowd pleasing, and just all in all, a very inoffensive opening. So what's going on in the opening primarily is this very tangy bergamot that is actually pretty well done. If you like bergamot, you will enjoy this opening because you're gonna get a burst of it alongside this very fresh and spicy lavender. So you are going to get some of those aromatic qualities along with that citrus bergamot. That does make for somewhat of a generic opening, but if you love those two notes, I certainly do, you will at least appreciate and enjoy the opening of Defy. There's nothing really to hate about it besides the fact that it does come across smelling very generic. That's kind of what we come to know when it comes to blue style fragrances. It's just easygoing, crowd pleasing, compliment getters. Nothing really like groundbreaking or mind-blowing or anything along those lines, but it does smell decent, at least for a Calvin Klein designer cheap release. Now, as this fragrance starts to transition into the mid, there's actually little variation going on. It's a very linear fragrance. And obviously that vetiver note is listed in the middle of this fragrance. But to me, I'm getting absolutely no vetiver at all. And I did see some people talk about how they got a ton of vetiver in here. I'm not sure exactly what those guys are smelling because I'm not getting that green, rooty, earthy vetiver that vetiver is supposed to smell like, there's zero going on in here. Unless it's just a very synthetic accord to smell like vetiver, and I'm just not picking it up because I'm used to high quality vetiver fragrances and it's not going on with this one. And then once you make your way finally into the base of Defy, you are just left with a synthetic amber base that has been done thousands of times before. It's very simple, very generic. It's not like a warm, resinous, like gooey amber, sweet amber, nothing like that. It's just that synthetic molecule that's used a ton in fragrances as a base note. That's what you get. So basically, to run it down, it's very like linear, not complex. Just bergamot and lavender, which is the best part of the fragrance, and then just bypasses the vetiver in the mid and goes straight into that synthetic amber note. At the end of the day, this is not made to be groundbreaking. It's not made to be a work of art. It's literally just made to be crowd pleasing, sell bottles, and get compliments. And for that, it definitely does. Now, does this stack up to like the heavy hitters in the blue fragrances like Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, YEDP, maybe even Acqua di Gio? Absolutely not, guys. This is not gonna pass those up by any means, but those are of course more expensive. Don't go to rack stores at all. But if you're looking for a blue fragrance and you don't want to spend like $100 plus on a bottle, this one might be a good one for you. So for the best seasons and occasions to wear Defy, primarily for me, this is absolutely a spring and summer targeted fragrance. Even though it could be versatile, if you purchase this as only owning one bottle as a signature scent, you could pull it off all year round. If not though, you want it primarily just for the spring and summer. It doesn't necessarily have that depth or potency that will push through the colder months like fall and winter. And there's just not really much going on in the composition that suits the colder weather. Even that amber note, which a lot of times is good for colder weather, yeah, that's not the kind of amber you get in this. And for occasions, guys, this is extremely like ultra casual style fragrance. Not something you want to wear like dressed up to a wedding or even like a nice date evening or anything like that. This is targeted for like working in an office, kind of chilling out with friends, maybe going to the bar, something like that is the kind of style of fragrance this is. For gender and age groups, this is obviously a male targeted fragrance. It does definitely lean masculine, obviously being like citrusy, fresh, aromatic. You get that slight amber base going on, whatever that is. But yeah, definitely leans on the masculine side of things, not feminine at all. For age groups now, this is very, very youthful. Like this could be a teenager fragrance. Honestly, probably one of the most youthful blue style fragrances I've had my nose on, because a lot of blue style fragrances like Dylan Blue, Bleu de Chanel, they usually have that smoky incense note, which makes it a little bit more mature, or more mature leaning at least, which I love. This, however, is very youthful. I mean, like teenager, if you're going to school, even high school, you want maybe a cheap kind of crowd pleasing signature scent, perfect for you. But at the end of the day, if you love this fragrance as a more mature adult, you can pull it off as well, just in my head. Very playful, very youthful smelling. Now, wrapping things off, talking on the performance. So this is where I have to give Calvin Klein somewhat of a credit for the performance of this, especially the original EDT. It wasn't necessarily as bad as I was expecting, because a lot of time Calvin Klein's do not perform. Of course, like CK1, the summer fragrances do not perform at all. This though, I got about average. I mean, this might possibly get you up to that 8-hour mark of longevity, which is fantastic for a blue fragrance, fantastic for a freshie, and just fantastic for the price you can find these at. So it will most likely get you through a like work day at the office or a school day, like around 8 hours, so you should be set. You don't really necessarily have to reapply this one, but it's not gonna be beast mode. It's not gonna fill a room or anything like that, because when it comes to the sillage and the projection, it was there, maybe like a nice scent bubble around you, and when you're walking around, people will get a whiff of the sillage. So honestly, not much to complain about, and that's probably the best part about this, is the performance is decent. And that's honestly probably because of how synthetic this is, especially that very synthetic amber base is what making this one just push and push up to that 8-hour mark. So that's gonna do it for my review of Calvin Klein's Defy. Let me know down below if you guys had the chance to try this one. If you think it's generic, if you like it, just leave a comment and we'll discuss that. But besides that, leave a like, subscribe below if you haven't already, and of course, you already know, I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.